So aside from Inspired Wellness Network, I also have a business called Lighting the Way. And what I do in that business is help people move through loss so that they are not getting stuck in life. You know, loss happens all the time. And what can happen is we can kind of get stuck in that. And when we don't process it, it just kind of builds up inside and it accumulates. And so we can come to a certain place in life where we don't have any more space to handle the next loss. So that's a big part of why I do my work, is for that. And today the focus, well, today and for the next several weeks, I'm going to be focusing on our children and the losses that they've gone through. You know, we've all had a lot this year, but we as adults have a little bit more to draw from, few more tools than our children do. And they've had a lot of change and a lot of isolation, and then they were ready to go back to school, and so many of them can't. So it's not about the rightness or wrongness of that decision, but really about what they're going through and how it's affecting them. So I will be promoting a class that I teach to adults to give them better tools so they can help their children process. And I have the ability in September to start doing those classes online, and I'm super excited about that. So hoping that a lot of us adults can step in and learn those tools so we can be helping these children, because they're gonna, you know, I don't know when things are gonna get better for them in their worlds, but we can help them make that change. Marla, are you there?
I am.
Okay, so now we are at the time in our meeting where we hear from our sponsors. And when we have a speaker, they have the time the next week or the next month to be a sponsor. And so we would like to hear from Marla, and she will tell us a little bit more about what she's doing.
Yeah, thank you very much. So there's only one drug-free wellness company right now that really has a non-consumable, non-invasive, non-surgical product for everyone. And it's helping seniors reduce their fall risk and improve their pain or reduce their pain from diabetic neuropathy. It actually can help children with a cognitive boost and help them with focus and reduce their anxiety, especially in times like now. And if parents are homeschooling, we have products that are going to help the parent stay less anxious about homeschooling. And we can also help athletes. And what this is Vox Life. Its mission is to help 1 billion people reach their drug-free wellness potential. And so I've been sharing this with everyone for 3 years. I just had the excitement last weekend of the man told me how much he weighed, of a 400-pound man leaning on a cane to the point I thought it was going to break. I gave him a sample of the product, and in 5 minutes he was walking, holding the cane in front of him. And then I saw him yesterday, and he's actually without the cane, and he doesn't have the side-to-side totter. So I get excited when I can help people who because of injury, whatever their function has declined, or bring people into the awareness that maybe what they have is a neural dysfunction. And I have a simple sock, patch, or insole to help everybody live their life better. Thank you.
Thank you, Marla.
Yeah,
it is incredible technology, and I appreciate you sharing about a little bit more about that. And if you guys would like to be a sponsor, just let me know. I can give you details, or if you know of someone else who would like to be a sponsor to be able to share about their business, please connect me. And now I'm excited because I get to introduce Elba so that we can hear what she has to share with us today. Elba Rushing is a former educator, like she described, but she's now turned into a business owner. After 18 years in education, Elba has followed the dream of working from home and opened a bookkeeping and budgeting business. She is married to Chris, who's a local CPA and has two amazing children, Grace, who is 17, and Gerald, who's 21. Elba and her family enjoy playing games, hiking, and traveling. Today, she will be talking about our relationship with money and budgeting. In these uncertain times, this is a topic that many may be thinking about. It is my honor to introduce you all to the very talented and calming money expert, Elba Rushing.
Can I get control of the screen? So thank you for being here. Good morning. As you heard, I'm Elba Rushing, and I'm the owner of Rushing's Accurate Bookkeeping. I help business owners, families, and individuals gain control of their finances so they can reach the goals that they've set for themselves. And we all have different goals. One of my biggest goals in being a business owner and doing this is to ensure that I know what every client desires for themselves. Everyone's budget looks different because our goals are different. And that is a really big thing to me. So in working toward gaining control of your finances, you really learn a lot about yourself and your relationship with money. This morning, I'm going to talk with you a little bit about the relationship with money. I'm going to talk about some resources that are out there for you to learn more on your own, because it is such a personal journey. I can certainly tell you things, but the journey itself is where you take it and how far you want to go with it, okay? So we'll talk a little bit about that relationship and where that relationship comes from as I'm learning more about it myself. And then we will talk about the importance of budgeting. Let's see if I can share my screen. I can, okay. Let's see. I think I've got the right one. Oh. There we go. Can you guys see that full screen? Great, thank you. All right, so before we get into budgeting, we're gonna look at some current headlines in the world. I like to start with that because, sorry, I need to move things around here because, there we go. Had to hide things a little bit so that I can see better. So I like to start with what the current situation is, and I like to grab headlines from the last 24 hours or the last couple of days. First off, many of us may have seen this or heard this in the last week, that the U.S. economy has plunged a titanic almost 33% in the second quarter of this year, and that points to a drawn-out recovery. It is the steepest recession that we are in money-wise since World War II. That sounds really scary. Everyone on this phone call was alive in 2008 and experienced the recession at that time in one way or another. And, you know, this is pointing to be worse than that. Now, there are positive things. Americans are, in fact, sitting on a record amount of cash savings, which just thrills me. And this is just a headline from yesterday. The fact that many people have taken advantage of putting the unemployment stimulus that they received, or the $1,200 or $2,400 stimulus from the government that they received, putting that money into savings because of the uncertain times that we live in, that is huge. Okay, here, this is from Moody's chief economist, Mark Zandi. He says, people are saving because they don't know what the future holds. Many people are likely concerned about their job safety and whether or not they'll be working. All of this, though, tells me people are planning. People are planning. They've got a plan in place. Many people do. What do we do when we have that money? Well, before we get into that, I'm going to want to go a little bit further into our current situation and what the world looks like today. I want to talk about your well-being. What are you doing for yourself right now? As you can see on the left side of this slide, I talk about your physical health. That's huge. And when we're living through a pandemic, gosh, it's hard to think about our physical health. So many different headlines, so many different things that we hear, people's opinions. My goodness, that all feeds directly into our mental health, doesn't it? Because we are hearing one thing, seeing other things, and then the next day it's the opposite. So our physical health and mental health are definitely being affected in the global pandemic that we're all living through right now. As you can see, there's another gear there though, and that's our financial health. Your financial health fits into your overall well-being. When you don't have to worry about finances, guess what? You can focus more on your mental health and even your physical health. So we need to put things in place to keep that financial, to make that financial health healthy. On the right side, you see there that from you in the center, you make the decisions about your money, how much you exercise, the relationships that you're a part of, the food that you eat, the things that you do in your life. And so though everyone across the board realizes we make choices about food, exercise, and relationships, many people feel like money controls you rather than you controlling your money. So today I want to help you see how that your well-being and money fits all together. Financial well-being is spending money based on your values. And again, I want to kind of harken back to what I was saying. Everyone is different. Our goals are different. I have some clients who their goals are to, I'll speak about Jasper. Jasper's goal is to have a brick and mortar restaurant within 1.5 to 2 years. Her money goals and how we get there are so different from a recent college graduate whose money goals are maybe to pay off their student loans, or a young family whose money goals are maybe to have some time together because mom and dad are working so hard. They want to plan for a family vacation because they know that connection is important. So everything is based on your values and your goals, okay? Another piece of financial health and wellness is having low or reasonable debt. I don't ever judge anyone on the amount of debt that you have or what your debt looks like, where your debt lives, because we all have it in one form or another. Some people are blessed enough to maybe only have a mortgage. Others are maybe blessed enough to only have a car loan. Some others have multiple credit cards and lines of credit and different things that they're working on. There's no judgment there ever. A low or reasonable amount of debt looks different for everyone. And if it's not low or reasonable for you, that's where we're talking about financial well-being and how we get to that point. Okay, another piece there is saving money to meet those goals. Again, looking back at spending money based on your values. Your values are going to lead to your goals. It all works together. It's kind of like those gears on the last slide. And finally, I want everyone to have a safety net, such as some sort of an emergency fund or insurance. And Tom on our call today is a great guy to talk about that, and having a safety net and not living with your head in the sand, right? Right, Tom? All right, how do you improve your relationship with money? Well, first we need to understand that your relationship with money, the first bullet point here says shine a spotlight on your scripts. So your scripts really come from your childhood. I'm going to open up a little bit with you guys here on our call and let you know that my scripts with money were that they come from a very, very young age. Very young age. When I was growing up, I did not have the ability to do anything after school. My sister, brother, and I always had to come home right after school so that we could get the mail before our dad got home from school. Why? Because my dad couldn't know what bills my mom had or hadn't paid, or new bills that she had gotten them into for whatever reason. Now, our mother, her scripts came from when she was a child also. She did without constantly because of the way her mother handled money. So my mother handled money a particular way, which led me, my sister, and my brother to have particular scripts about money, things that run through our head when we think about money. Okay. What are your scripts? You need to know your scripts. You need to think about that. And I have some resources that if you're interested in them, I can point you in some ways to dig deeper into what those scripts are. Okay. Actually, I have a couple, I can't remember if nope, I did not put it on the next slide. Sorry. I'm going to go over just a couple of those scripts. And one is money avoidance scripts, where people say money is unimportant or rich people are greedy. So you're avoiding money, trying not to think about it, maybe even keeping it out of your life, living a very simple life, maybe not working toward a higher paying job because you want to avoid it because those are the things running through your head. There's also money worship scripts, where you might say things such as, more money would make me happier. If I could go on that vacation, my life would be complete. Oh, if I could get that new car. You're worshiping money. You're working toward having more money, and that's not a balance in your life. Finally, there's status about money, where your self-worth is equated to your net worth. I have more money in the bank, therefore I'm a better person. Okay, those are just 3 different types of scripts, and it's really important to understand what you think about money, those scripts that are running through your mind, so that you can react to those, change those as you need to change them. Okay, so 2 ways to do that. Interview family members, talk to your siblings, talk to your parents, talk to people who you grew up with in a close way, maybe cousins, and figure out, do you have the same memories about money and how things were handled in your house? Are you running 2 different scripts, even though you lived the same way to begin with? My sister, brother, and I are, all 3 of us, run different scripts through our heads, which is really interesting considering we all grew up exactly the same. I also want you to try and recall your earliest money memory. Maybe you asked your parents for money to buy something that you really wanted, or maybe you saw your parents purchase something large that made them happy. And so you think purchasing things is going to make you happy. Think about that stuff. That helps you to think about what your scripts are and gain control of your relationship with money. The second thing is to know thyself. One of the things that I have heard a lot from many of my clients and many friends is they're going to participate in retail therapy. You need to know that about yourself. So retail therapy is, I'm going to go shopping because I'm going to feel better if I can buy some things for myself. Then we hear about women or men who hide those purchases from their spouses or from other significant people in their lives. Know that about yourself. Try and figure out, why am I doing this? How does that fit in with the scripts that we were just talking about? The third thing, consult reputable resources. So reach out to someone who can help you with budgeting, such as myself or others. Also, reach out to someone possibly like Lana. Lana has helped me to shine the spotlight on what my scripts are and knowing a little bit more about myself. And I thought I kind of, I've been working in this area for a while. I've thought about it. But work with reputable resources to help yourself move to a better relationship with money, and consult with experts. Again, the experts such as Lana and others that are out there for you. There are also psychiatrists and psychologists who specifically work in this area. So now I want to move on to the budgeting side. So thinking about your relationship with money and where you stand right now with money, then we want to move toward, okay, we want to make a change possibly. What's one way to make a change? And one way to make a change is budgeting. Budgeting is, in fact, the process of creating a plan to spend your money. It is taking control of the money that you have in your life and putting that money and the liabilities or the bills that you have in your life together and figuring out, how do my values fit in with this? And how do I move towards my goals to get there? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the purposes of budgeting. One is resource allocation. You need to know what you have. So what are your savings? What are the different sources of money that you have and the money that you'll receive over any period of time? Now, this is whether you're a business owner or an individual. So we're going to speak just on the individual side right now, but know that this is the same for businesses. Individuals, you look at and you need to think about things possibly on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, a quarterly basis. Businesses are usually quarterly, annually, things such as that. Okay. The second purpose of budgeting is planning. What do you want to do or accomplish? So these are your goals. Where do you want to go, and how are you going to use those resources that you have to get there? Finally, or not finally, but the third purpose is coordination. I want you to think back to that slide that I showed you with your health and your mental health and your financial health and how they all work together. That's the coordination just of our well-being ourselves. This is the coordination of all the pieces that you have, the things coming in, the things going out, that resource allocation that I talked about, and the planning. It all has to work together. Okay. If you have a plan, such as Jasper does, as I had just mentioned, to have that brick and mortar building for the restaurant in 1.5 to 2 years, guess what? She's planning for that, and she's coordinating all of the pieces together to make it happen. Okay. Another purpose of budgeting, and this one's huge, is control. You want to have control over your money. You don't want your money to control you. Okay. I have a client who has told me that he can sleep at night now because he knows that he has all of the resources he needs to meet the plan and everything is working together. That freedom for him has allowed him to be able to sleep at night better, which affects his physical health and his mental health. It all works together. Finally, what is your motivation? Why do you want to do or accomplish something? Is it to grow your business? Is it to pay off debt? Is it for that family vacation that you've been putting off or had to put off because you didn't have the resources to do it? So what is your motivation? Everyone's motivation is different. Okay. As far as the business side goes, it's important. Budgeting is an important tool for decision making. I want you to put this on the hat of the individual, not just the business, okay? Because it's the same. Your business life and your personal life mirror each other, okay, when it comes to budgeting, okay? You want to monitor performance, forecast your income and expenditures, and with proper budgeting, limited resources are managed efficiently, personally and in your business life. Meaning that if due to the global pandemic that we're in, you were to lose your job or be laid off or something were to happen, your hours were cut back, you know your resources are now more limited than they were in the past. You need to manage that and be able to move forward. I want to talk a little bit about tracking and planning when it comes to budgeting, okay? A lot of us believe that because we track our money, we're budgeting. Okay, so I want to just give you a visual of what the difference is between tracking and planning. In tracking, you make money. We all make money. Well, we hope we do, right? You make money. You spend money. You look at or think about your money sometimes, and often it keeps you from sleeping at night, or it causes arguments or unhappiness between you and a significant other or people within your lives. Or you may even be mad at yourself when you think about your money. You're pretty sure you can pay all your bills, or you might even know, I can't pay my bills. And the level of stress that places on you and your personal well-being is just horrible. Or you really have no clue if you can pay all of your bills. And that's what tracking is. A lot of people track. They look at their bank account. They see what's happening there, and they think, okay, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. You truly don't have control over it. You're just watching it happen. So now I want to talk about the planning portion. With planning, you know how much money you have and how much you're going to make this month or this quarter or this year. If you're a business that's projecting out, right? So you know what you have. You made that money and you know what you have. You're writing that down. You know what you're going to spend money on, and you write that down with an amount. And what I mean by that is these are budget items or bills. You're going to see it in the budgets that I share with you in a few moments. But if entertainment is important to you and your family, going out to dinner, or the movies, and I know we can't do that as much now as we did in the past, but if that's important to you, you're going to have an item that you call entertainment. You're going to say, I'm going to spend $250 a month and no more than that on entertainment. Okay. Once you do that, you remove money from that amount as you spend it so that you don't go over that. You are controlling your money. You're not allowing your money or your experiences to control you. You stop money when that amount in that category runs out. And because you've written things down, you knew how much you had coming in, you knew what needed to go out, you know you have money to pay all of your bills. This takes stress off of you, it takes stress off of your relationships, it improves your physical health, it improves your mental health, and it improves your financial health, which all work together. Again, just going to point out, budgeting is the process of creating that plan. The planning is what we just talked about to spend your money. How do you create a budget? First, you're going to write down, you're going to analyze and look at what you have spent for 1 to 2 months worth of time. Looking at this from the individual, not the business right now, okay? I encourage my clients to go through and look at their bank account, their credit cards, and create some categories and put what they've spent into those categories so they can see, like on the slide here, how much have they spent on gas in the last 2 months? How about cable, phone, rent, all of those different things. Sorry, I got a ding in my ear. After that has been written down, you go back and you analyze it. And you work through, my screen is doing lots of weird things, sorry. You analyze it and you figure out, okay, this is the average, or this is how much I think I'm going to spend in each of those categories. After you've written it all down and looked at it and you analyze it, then you create the categories. Here are some general categories: food, insurance, etc. I shared in another presentation, my husband loves beer. He loves craft beer. I love wine. We actually have an alcohol item in our budget because we don't ever want to spend over that amount. And we know we could go to breweries and I could buy bottles of wine. Whether I drink them or not, I like having them and buying them. So we have that in our budget. Everyone's budget is unique. Don't forget that. Once you've created those budgets and the amount that you are willing to and able to spend in each area, we then move that to a spreadsheet. So some people ask me, actually lots of people ask me, why do this by hand? Why put it in a spreadsheet? When there are programs at my bank, with each of my credit cards that I have, even your mortgage company, if you can log into them online, they have a little button you can push on or click on, and it'll give you this nice graph that takes all of the spending you've done and says, these are the areas where you spent money. And you might have a big area on utilities and a smaller area on entertainment or different things such as that. Well, the reason that I say do it by hand and not just look at that is, one, all you're doing is looking at that. It's already been done. Someone else has analyzed it for you and thrown it into categories that may or may not match what your values and your choices are. And most importantly, people learn by doing. I was an educator for 18 years. And I learned through those years that no matter how much I showed my students how to do something, until they picked up a pencil and paper and started writing and doing the work that they needed to do, they weren't learning it. They were seeing it. Very, very, very few people can learn by watching others do it. They learn by doing it themselves. So that is why I push for you to do it by hand. Tom, this slide is for you. So you can begin to change your relationship with money today. You can reach out to me, talk to me about the resources that I alluded to earlier. I'm happy to share the resources about the money scripts and what you can do through your mind. Reach out to Lana. She can talk to you about that relationship with money also. And I can help you begin your budgeting. I can help you just talk about what are you looking at, what are your goals, and where do you want to go from here. Okay, so you can change that relationship with money. Remember, that relationship with money expands out to your overall well-being. It affects your physical health, it affects your mental health, and that is your relationship with money. Okay, make a choice to control that and not allow it to control you. So I want to share just a couple of quick budgets with you, because people often ask me, well, what does the budget look like? This is an example of a very complex individual or family budget. You can see on the left side the money they have coming in, their budget items there in the center with groceries, gas, entertainment, etc. This family, the husband is a union worker, so they have union dues in their budget. They also have medical in their budget because they have twins who were born early with medical conditions that are a monthly thing for them to maintain. They also have pets that they absolutely love, and so we have that in there. On the far right side, you see the bills that don't change. Those are the things you don't have a choice about, right? And they have those all there. We keep track of their balances so they can see those going down. I want to point out the items in the middle, the budget items. You see there's the item, the amount that they budgeted for it, the actual amount, and a variance. The actual amount actually comes from another spreadsheet that feeds directly into that. Within this spreadsheet, I have clients go in and daily enter where they've spent money. If you notice the little black triangles in the corners, that is a note that I encourage. I'd like to say I require, but I encourage my clients to put a note by with every entry that they put into this budget. There they say where they spent the money or what they spent it on, and I also encourage them, depending upon the individual, to write a note there about how they felt about spending that money, because that leads back to that relationship and making changes if changes have to be made. Here's a more simple individual budget. This young lady was eating a lot of fast food. Most of us probably wouldn't have a fast food item in our budget, but we might. I don't know. Again, everyone's is different, and I judge no one for what they have. So she wanted to keep track of her fast food. She didn't have a whole lot of bills. We made sure to put due dates on there for her bills because she's young and she wanted to ensure that she's not missing those dates and having to pay fees or penalties or anything such as that. And this has been a really good thing for her. So what now? What's your next move? Well, make a decision to learn about we're all individual, learn about your relationship with money. Ask the questions of yourself and of others in your life to help you to figure out what are the scripts that are running in your mind when it comes to money. Okay, reach out for help. There are people out there who can help you. Again, if you find that you have a relationship that you really want to change the way you're thinking about money, gosh, reach out to Lana. As you know, she's amazing. There are others to reach out to also. Let me know. I can help you find someone. You can also choose to work with me. I can help you with your budgeting, whether it's for your business or your personal budget. I'm here to help you. By the way, I love working with teens and early 20s on their budgets to help them to one, have an amazing relationship with money to begin with, and two, lead a life where their relationship with money is not going to affect their physical and their mental health. So thank you. Are there any questions?
Elba, that was amazing, especially the different scripts, because I think when you think about those, it's so easy to relate to almost every single one of those at some point in your life.
Right?
You know? Yeah.
If you really look back to your past, to your childhood, and I think Jasper, you and I kind of talked about this also, right? If we look back to our childhood or when we first started making our own money, and I'm learning more and more about this constantly. So those of you who saw I think there's only two of you, Lana and Tom, who saw this presentation before, hopefully you've seen it expanded and better than it was in the past, because I'm learning more and more about how that relationship affects just everything. Absolutely everything.
Is it appropriate or okay for me to give just a personal testimony a little bit about my experience with you, Elba?
Oh, thank you, Jasper.
Is that
Lana,
okay?
is that okay?
Yeah. Well, okay. So, one of the things for me when I was, talking about my personal and emotional relationship to money, is it is something that was always meant to be very concealed and hidden within my family. And now that this is my first business venture with Tobala, for those who don't know, I just opened a food truck. But sitting down with Elba, I threw a bunch of different things at her with all of the different areas that I'm trying to tap into right now and do a bunch of different things. And she responded so calm and so collected. And that was a response with finances that I've never gotten to encounter. And it was so incredibly relieving and freeing. And it just helped me pinpoint a lot of where my anxieties come from with discussing finances, or how I might feel judged about it and how I'm perceiving and projecting that judgment on myself. And just her coolness and collectedness about talking about finances, like I said, it was transformational for me already. So thank you for that, but a lot of insight there for me too.
Thank you, Jasper. So any other questions, or Bonnie?
I had a question. I'm just wondering if you have a method for working with people who have irregular income. That, like I had put in the chat box, it was really interesting because I know how to put together a budget, and it didn't really occur to me until you actually went through the steps that, yeah, you have to know how much money is coming in the future in order to make it work. But as a commission-only salesperson, I have no idea how much money is coming in the future. And I used to know, at least, to a minimum. But after this COVID thing, I have no idea when my next sale will be. So I was wondering if you have a method for working with people like me.
So Bonnie, it may not be a method, but I want to point back to, or bring us back to think about on that slide where I showed you the very last one was to have kind of an emergency fund and something in place for when times like this hit, right? So if you had started this in the past with me, and you say you know how to do a budget, I'm sure you've done this sort of stuff being a business owner and a salesperson. Hopefully a piece of that budget was putting it into savings so you can save for the unknown, right? And then as you move forward and month to month, as things are changing, and Tom is the same way, he and I have talked about this in the past, it's hard or almost impossible right now, right, to create that budget, but we still need to know what has to be paid at any particular time, the things that are non-negotiable. Okay, you have to pay that mortgage, you have to pay whatever loans you have and things such as that. So at times like this, what I've done is sit down with people, in particular my younger folk that I work with, and okay, we're going to call the bank and we're going to say, hey, look, this is what's happening right now. And so can I get either some forgiveness? Some have been able to get forgiveness on certain things. Others have been able to put off payments and not have to worry about incurring interest. Others have put off payments, but they're still incurring interest. The biggest thing there for that planning portion of it in this budgetary life that we're kind of in right now, if you are with an irregular income, is that you ensure when you make those phone calls, there's not a balloon payment that's going to be due once it stops, right? Because that doesn't help anyone. Put you in a worse place than you were to begin with, right? And so that's been the big thing, is reaching out to anyone on those non-negotiables that have to be paid and figuring out how can we, I hate to say massage or put off those, but that's exactly what it is during this time. And then once you've got that figured out, then it is going back and kind of reworking, what did the income look like in the past? What can we hope for the future? If we can't get there because of the way the world is looking right now, then what other ways can you control the money that's coming in if you can no longer control the money that needs to go out? Does that make sense? So,
yeah, it does make sense, especially the last bit there, I think answered the question. So,
yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I throw something into that? Being a commission only person too for 36 years, is I've found that the budget is the first step to find out, like Alba says, is what you owe. So you have to bring X amount in to support that. So, you know, those are a relationship right off the bat. You know, can I, you know, a lot of people just buy stuff and hope they can support it. Well, you better know that you can support it. And then from a business standpoint, it also helps me go back to my business saying, okay, if I see X amount of people and this is my track record as far as sales, then this is what I need to do to maintain that. And if there's any adjustment in that, then I have to find different platforms and different ways to reach more people to create that exposure to my services so I can continue to try to fill what I call the funnel. Because in my business, being the insurance business, the funnel is you want to constantly have flow into it. Because if there's ever a stop, which the COVID situation put a stop to my business for about 2 months, I'm feeling that now. So I had to gear up, or I had to save, like Alba said, to be able to get through those ebbs until the flow starts coming back. And then I also had to gear up to get more to overcome what was lost with that period of stopped income, or stop potential or opportunity, I should say. So it kind of all relates together when you're in business.
Mm-hmm.
It does. It does. Okay, that gives me a lot to think about. That's because I've only been a commission-only salesperson for a year and a half. I spent most of my career in the corporate world on a salary, so this is
it's very different.
Full transition. Yes.
Yeah. Bonnie, I'd be happy just to sit down and bounce ideas with you at no cost to just help you to gain some control, because as your comment said, you're feeling anxious. And when you're feeling anxious, that it's all those gears together, right? All moving together. It affects everything. So I'm happy to sit down with you, Bonnie. If you can find some time in your schedule, please reach out just to help you feel like you're making some steps forward and gaining some control.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And that goes for anyone on here. Tammy, Victoria, Mia, Tom, Jasper, Lana. Oh, I can't forget Alistair.
That's true. Thank you, Alba. That was really amazing.
You're welcome.
One of my big takeaways, I think so many people feel like budgeting is a restrictive process. And often in a couple relationship too, it seems like one is always wanting the budget and the other one feels like they're being controlled. But you said budgeting provides freedom. We need to be switching that up. And I really, I like that.
in my classroom, as I was an educator for so many years, I had a poster on the wall, and I feel like I should put it back here for when I'm doing this, but knowledge is power. Doesn't matter if that knowledge is how to write a great sentence, how to speak in public, how, you know, about science, history, whatever, mathematics. Knowledge is power. It moves us forward. And
Yes.
budgeting is just gaining knowledge about yourself and your circumstances.
Yes. I love that. And that's a nice segue, because you and Tom have a lot of similarities. And Tom is going to speak for us next month. And so Tom, do you want to come on and just give us a brief preview of what you have in mind for next month?
Sure. First of all, I want to thank Alba for doing a plug for my publishing company, because the name of my publishing company is Knowledge is Power.
Yes.
So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
That's right.
Basically, the theme of next opportunity to speak to the group here is the resiliency and empowerment strategies for life lessons for any age. So basically what I'm going to be doing is sharing my life experiences. I'm basically 64 going on 65, and what I've learned from my challenges, the things that with money or any situation, and hopefully from those experiences, the wisdom comes from either doing and experiencing and learning, or gaining from those that have already been there. And so that's what I hope to bring next month is I've been through some of these things. So my experiences, what I've learned, and my insight hopefully will bring wisdom to the attendees so they don't have to experience those things themselves.
Thank you, Tom. Yes, we look forward to that. And our next meeting is the second Tuesday of the month, and it's always the second Tuesday. And that date is September 8th at 10 a.m. And we would love for you guys to join us. We also have availability for other speakers. So if some of you have already spoken, but if you would like to speak, let me know. If you know of other people that you feel have something that could benefit others, whether it's education or inspiration or community building, just let me know and we can get them plugged in. And if you have anyone you would like to invite, feel free to invite them. And our goal is that we begin to get to know each other better and build those relationships, connections in our community. So I really appreciate everyone's support showing up, and I like what's happening. I like how this is beginning to flow, and we're really feeding each other, and I like that. So thank you all for being here.